If you're looking to build a better client experience, you're going to love this video because I'm going to show you how you can stand up an app in just a few moments with prompting AI inside of Softr. We are going to build the backends to our database, we're going to build the front-end user experience to our app, and then we're going to show you how to automate a process within your system. So if you're ready to build a better client experience with a custom no-code application of your own, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth and this is Gap Consulting. And it's our mission here to help you unlock the full potential of no-code tools. We have been building without the use of code for nearly a decade. And in this video, we're going to be focused on Softr. It's one of my favorite front-end applications, but that explanation is selling it short because when Softr first came on the scene, it was the front end. But now we have the ability to build a back end there, as well as to do all of this with just prompting AI, as you're going to see in this video. Now, before we get started, I want to encourage you to follow along with me. Softr's given us a promo code that you can use. If you follow the steps that you see on your screen, it will give you 1 free month of Pro membership with Softr, which is over $100 in value, and it will enable you to start using the more premium features inside of Softr during that trial period. Now, as I said, we're going to use the co-builder to do a lot of the lifting. And when you load up inside of Softr, you'll see something very similar to this. And the first thing that we usually do is connect a data source if we're using a third-party backend. You'll also notice down here on the right, it says, what are we creating? And my preference is to always start with the data layer itself. I find that this is going to set the foundation for the completed solution. So in our case, we want to start with the database. And I've got a prompt built out here already. And the short version is this. Look, I've got clients and I need the company name, contact, etc. Then we also have interactions here. And we're listing out the different things that happen in interactions. And then clients should show their full interaction history. Pretty simple. So let's go ahead and set up this just at the database layer. Make sure that you're building the data first, because if you don't get this part 100% correct, well, when you go to build your application, it's going to be built on a shaky foundation. Now, as you can see, it doesn't take much time at all for this to start populating. Softr has created users, clients, and interactions. Now, something we really need to call out here is that the users table is always going to exist for every application you build in Softr. Now, that could be the same as clients, or it could be that your users are separate from your clients. In our case, users are not the same as clients. We are imagining that our users are internal to our team. They are the people who are accessing this solution, and that's what we see right here. So we've got these different roles, and of course, inside of Softr, users can have different roles, and that will surface different information when they load into the application. So in this case, we have users who are admin and users who are consultants, and of course, these two user types are going to have completely different in-app experiences. Then we have our clients, and this is where we're tracking the actual client information. So this is the client, the company name, who is our point of contact there, an email. Of course, this is all AI-generated fake data. We also have a status here on the client. So where are they kind of in our pipeline? When did we last contact them? Notes and interactions. And then here's our interactions where we have the date of the interaction, the type, the summary, etc. Now, I've confirmed what we were looking at in terms of our data structure, and I went ahead and seeded intentionally some records here. So we have our users. I kept the majority of the ones that were initially created by Softr. I also then went in and updated or recreated clients and then new interactions as it pertains to those clients. Notice that the interactions relate to a client, but also logged by a particular person on our team. And in this case, I'm either logging from myself or one of our team members, Alex. So now that we have the data structure properly set up, we can feel confident about moving into the next layer, and that is the application itself. In order to do this, we need to start fresh with a new co-builder prompt, because this co-builder here is where we were building the data layer itself. This is not the same place where we're going to actually build the application. So let's zoom out. We'll go to the home or a dashboard here, and we will create something new. I can go to applications, I can go to home, doesn't really matter, but notice that I'm using now the prompt with app. And we also need to make sure that we reference our data that we just built. Our data source inside of Softr is the client management, and then in parentheses, consulting. This is the data layer that we just built. So we're going to bring that in here, and then I'm going to share the prompt. Here is my pre-seeded prompt. Build a new app named Client Management App. It's an internal tool for account managers. They will need a client list page where they can filter by status and sort by last contacted, etc., etc. So the more information, obviously, that you share with the AI prompt, the better outcome you're going to get. But one thing that I would not sleep on is to make sure to outline what the job of the application is so that Softr can build you a better, stronger solution. So here we've said, track who we talk to, when, and what happens next. We've already connected our data source as well, so when the AI builds the app, it knows exactly what it will be using to seed the application. Once we have all these pieces in play, just hit that button to create the application. You will get prompted with a few questions from the co-builder. We'll go ahead and answer those. Number 1, when logging an interaction, what should be required at minimum? Well, date, type, and summary, sure. Usually there are some questions about the look and feel of the app as well, but here it's going to say, what should users see first when they open the app? Let's go with clients needing follow-up. Should users be able to edit interactions after logging them? Only the summary. Of course, the choices that you make in your application when you're building it, it's going to completely be unique and custom to your situation. I'm just using these as examples. Here are the kind of standard or boilerplate questions that the AI now asks. How do people log in? Are we using SSO? This is an enterprise grade or a higher tier requirement. We can also do Google login or just email. It's fine, whichever. Can people sign up on their own, or is this domain restricted, or do I invite all users? I will invite my users specifically here. Almost at the end now, we have some questions about the navigation layout. I like side and bottom navigation. And then we will get a question about the theme. You can change this or update this later, of course, but let's go with a nice breeze here. It's kind of this white background with this, blue. This works for me. We'll create the app. That's it for the questions. And now we sit back, throw our hands up, and wait for a few moments while the AI goes to work. It didn't take terribly long, and our application has now been built, at least the first pass, thanks to the AI co-builder. Let's go ahead and try it live and go right to a preview of our application. So here it is. I'm logged in and previewing as myself. If you recall, we have a users table, and if we look here, we should see the different users ultimately listed out. But now I'm previewing as myself, and I see the different clients that are actually connected to me. Let's quickly pause and go back to our data layer here. If we go back to our app, not the preview, but the app, and we go to the data selection, here are our users, and we see the clients as they are assigned, and also those interactions. So you'll notice that back in the preview of the app, when I log in, I'm seeing the clients who need active follow-up right now, the number of active clients, which relates to the 4 different active clients in our seeded data, and then number of interactions in the last 7 days. So this is my kind of upfront login dashboard when I get into the app. Next, I can run into clients, and here I see a breakdown of my clients. Notice that I can click over here and copy emails so that I can quickly and easily message my clients from email. I can also search here, and I can add clients through the form. Of course, I have to record the company name and the contact with the email, the status, etc. I can also open up a client record to take a look at that particular client and look at the interaction history. And I'm also able to log new interactions against those clients and edit the client information all inside the app. If I were to do this, select the edit, I can edit right here in line and then just update that information. After it is saved, it will then be reflected on the actual client record. So what you're seeing here is the actual interface, the user experience that sits on top of the data layer. The data layer was the first step. We built a very simple structure to our data that had users, clients, and interactions. Now I'm logged in as a user, looking at client data and the related interactions. Now I want to take things a step further by adding workflows, an automation to my application that makes living in this environment even easier for the team when I roll it out. Specifically, what I want to do is enable the team to simply, with the tap of one button, create an interaction record against a client. Within that interaction, we want certain information to be pre-filled, like the type of interaction being a call, and we want the dates to be filled out with the current date and time. In order to do this, we need to use the co-builder to build us a workflow. So let's go back away from our preview, back into the actual application itself, and we are going to build a new workflow. Now, before we switch into the workflow itself, I first want to add a field here to my data. In the clients table, I want to add a new field, and it will be a long text field, and I'm going to name it next follow-up draft. So what we're actually going to do here is create a draft for the next follow-up. We're going to save it here on the client record, and then we can approve that through our workflow. If that's a little bit difficult to understand, as we walk through this, I think you'll see it take shape. So now that we have the long text field here, let's get to work on building the automation. So we're going to go over to the workflow section. And on the left-hand side of the screen, again, we will use our chat, and we are going to ask it to create a new workflow. So let's go ahead and paste this in. Notice that, again, I've already come up with my prompt off camera, but I'm saying, look, when someone clicks a button on our client's detail page, we want to create an interaction record that links to the client with the date set to now, mark it as a call, and the logged in user as logged by. So whoever takes the action will get that marked up. Secondly, we want to update the client's last contacted date to today. And then third, we want to use AI to draft a short follow-up email to the client's contact based on the client's notes and their most recent interaction summaries. So that is the purpose of that new next follow-up draft field. Let's go ahead and set this up and see what Softr is able to put together for us. It didn't take too long. Within a few moments, the AI was able to produce the workflow for us. And I want to highlight that we're actually flipping between layers within the exact same prompt now. Not only did the AI create the workflow or the automation process here, but it also added a new button for us inside of our application. Now, we actually have to see or read exactly what the AI is telling us because it put this button in a place that we might not have assumed. Of course, we can move this and take whatever steps we need to in order to make it a more ideal solution. But for now, this is a log check-in button and it's on the client detail page. So let's navigate to that and see exactly what this is going to look like. If we preview our application again and we go to our clients and we spin up the client page, you'll see this new button for log check-in. Now, so far, we have not published the workflow, so we can't actually push the button. But this is where the new button has surfaced. So again, highlighting that the co-builder not only built a workflow, but also updated the application itself, the actual UX. So let's dive now into the workflow that was built. You'll see that the trigger was established to be this custom workflow. It's going to show us a waiting screen. It will log the interaction, update the client last contact, get recent interactions for the client, draft a follow-up email using AI, save the draft to the client record, and then it will end the user interactions. So this is a lot that was all built with just a prompt to the co-builder. Now, we want to turn our automation on in order to give it a full test. But before we can do that, we have to go through and test each step within the automation. On the upper right-hand side of the screen, when you click into every step of the automation, you'll see the ability to test and actually pull through some sample data. Make sure to go through every step of the automation and update the fields. Make sure that it is doing what you wanted it to do and test each step individually. Once you've done that, all of the warning or error signs will be gone from the automation, and you can then actually turn it on, which you do in the upper right corner, and publish the workflow. Now this is a live breathing workflow, and we can test it out in our application. So let's flip back now and actually publish our application, and then we can take it out for a spin, whether in preview mode or otherwise. So here I am inside of the application. We've now built the back end, the front end, and a workflow. And let's test our workflow out before we actually roll this out. I'll flip into my clients here, and I'll look at any one of the active clients. Let's do Northwind Legal. I'll open up the client detail page, and I can now hit the log check-in button. You see that I get the spinny wheel that is telling me that the automation is working in the background. Now, this automation has quite a few steps and leverages some AI, so it does take a little bit of time, but once that's done, we can go back and actually look at the workflow history. On the left-hand side, we'll look at the runs, and we can see not only how many tasks were completed, but also how many credits were used, both for workflow credits as well as AI credits. So here is the actual run. We can see step by step everything that happened. And ultimately, we drafted a follow-up email for this particular client based on the interactions that we've already logged, and then we updated the information on the client record. Now, given that we did this for our client David here from Northwind Legal, if we flip back into the database itself, we can actually look at the updates that were made to this record. So if we were to open the Northwind Legal, you'll see that our next follow-up draft now lives here. So this is what was created by the AI. Obviously, there's some placeholders here, but pretty good. Also, we updated the last date of contact, and we logged a new interaction for Northwind Legal. It was logged by me because I was the one who pushed the button, and it was added here to the interactions. Now, I do see that I failed to properly log the client, so I have to go back into the workflow before I officially launch this and make sure that I've included a link to the client as well. This is why testing your workflows and your automations is so important. But as you can see, we are 99% of the way there, a couple of light fixes, and we're ready to ship. Now, all in, we have built at the 3 foundational levels for any application: data layer, user experience or UX, and automation or workflow. And we've shown how simple it is to roll out an application to our team, in this case to help track interactions so that no client falls through the cracks again. I hope you got a ton of value from this video. If you did and you want to learn more, be sure to subscribe to the channel and give this one a thumbs up. And if you have questions about your next no-code build, swing by our website and sign up for a strategy call, which you can have with our team to help you get unstuck and put together a plan for you to move forward with confidence on your next build. Sign up for that call at gapconsulting.io/strategy-call. That's it for this one. In the meantime, keep on building.